Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thanks for joining. Today, we're doing a general Q&A. I'm going to answer all your questions, but we're also going to discuss a very important topic. We're going to discuss what every driver must know. Those of you who drive for a living, whether you're a truck driver, delivery driver, rideshare driver, Uber, Lyft, pretty much anybody who drives for a living, even if it's not the sole purpose of your job, if it's just an aspect of your job. We see it with home health attendants who drive from one patient to another. So if you drive as part of your work duties, or if it is your work to do, we're going to answer some very, very important questions today. We're gonna go through everything you need to know about workers' compensation here in New York State for drivers. Pretty much anybody who drives for work may be eligible for workers' compensation benefits if you have an unfortunate accident, but there is a catch. Sometimes some drivers are labeled as independent contractors instead of employees, which means they might not qualify for workers' compensation. So you need to understand the pitfalls and what to know here so that you don't fall into the wrong category where you might not get compensation benefits. I'm going to explain which drivers do qualify for workers' comp, which ones don't, which ones are in that gray area on the bubble, and what the court looks for in order to get you the benefits that you might be entitled to. I'm also going to explain how you could potentially get a lot more money out of your case if you were driving and had a car accident at work. There's a lot of different aspects to work-related motor vehicle accidents that people don't know about, and you really should, because it could be worth a lot of money. So you want to stick through this one. Let's get through all the slides, and if you drive for a living, you're really not going to want to miss this. So let's jump right in. I see the questions flowing in on Instagram and on the Tube Ski. And I love you guys for posting your questions. I'm going to do everything I can to get to all your great, great questions today. We do need to give a shout out to the Rudds in Indiana for having their third child today. The Hustavas, I apologize. Congratulations on the birth of your beautiful baby boy. And we now have a new nephew in the world, and everyone's very, very happy. So let's dive right into our slides here. Boom. Okay, let me just get my notes pulled up, folks, so I can make sure I get to everything. Can drivers file for workers' compensation benefits if they get into an accident on the road? And how does their car insurance factor into it? So we see this all the time, whether you're a delivery driver, an Uber driver, New York City bus driver. I see somebody just post, that's corrections. Well, corrections office, we do represent corrections officers, and sometimes they are injured while driving. So anybody who drives for a living, as we know, we've discussed it in the past, when you have a work-related accident, you cannot sue your employer if you suffer a work-related accident and you're in a covered employment. And most employments are covered employments here in New York State. Who's not covered? Clergy is not covered. If you're a domestic worker who works under 40 hours, you're not covered. New York City police and fire have their own system. New York City school teachers have their own system. But for the most part, most employees in New York State are covered. And if you have a car accident, if you have any accident, you can't sue your employer if their negligence caused you to get hurt. You can't sue a coworker if their negligence caused you to get hurt. But with car accidents, oftentimes, unless it's a really freakish situation, if you're hit by another driver, usually that other driver is somebody that you don't even know. Most car accidents happen on the road between two people who don't know each other. They're not intentional. They're negligent acts where one person hits another person and causes an accident. And in that circumstance, when somebody, we call them third parties, when a negligent third party is responsible for your accident and your injury, that you do have the opportunity to sue them. Now, you have a personal injury lawsuit as a result of that accident, but you also have a workers' compensation claim if you're working. Like I always use the example of the appliance delivery driver making deliveries and dropping off washers and dryers to people's homes. But you can file for your workers' compensation claim since you were working at the time, and you also have the opportunity to sue the negligent driver that hit you, assuming there was one. If the accident is your fault, you can still file for workers' compensation, but clearly, since you're the one at fault, you're the one who is negligent, you can't sue anybody else since it's your fault. But putting that aside, if somebody else caused you to have this accident, if somebody ran a red light or a stop sign, if they didn't yield when they should have yielded, if they, whatever happened, they rear-ended you, you can sue that other person who caused your accident. Now, you have a lawsuit, you have your workers' compensation claim. You have two different legal actions coming out of one accident. Both of those legal actions, whether it's workers' comp or your personal injury, which starts off going through your private, your auto insurance, they're both set up to pay for your basic first-party benefits. What are first-party benefits? Your medical coverage. If you were injured, they're going to cover your medical. We know workers' compensation is set up to pay for your medical treatment if you get hurt on the job. If you have a car accident and you're injured, your auto insurance is set up to pay for your medical coverage so you can get the treatment that you need as a result of that accident and that injury. They also pay for basic lost wages and things like that. So since you have these two cases, these two legal matters coming out of one accident, it's a little tree, and both of them provide for the same type of damage recovery. What happens? Who takes over? Well, here in New York State, workers' compensation comes first. So if you have a work-related car accident, workers' comp pays for your medical coverage. Workers' comp pays for your lost wages and things like that. They're benefits in lieu of first-party benefits. That's the technical term that we use here. But since somebody else was at fault, you still want to file that lawsuit. Your car insurance takes a backseat to workers' compensation. Now, there's one other aspect of this that we're going to discuss in a minute. We call it UM/UIM, uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage, and this is a big one. We're going to touch on that when we get to the third slide. But that's something that is part of your own auto insurance policy. I see the questions coming in here. We got questions about corrections, and we got questions on YouTube. I'm going to jump into all those questions. I'm going to spend as much time as I can with you guys, so I do appreciate it. But just sit tight, and let's get through some of these slides real quick, because I do want to educate the driving workforce here in New York State, make sure everybody's safe. I'm on the road every day. See, you don't need to be a person who drives for a living. You don't need to be the bus driver or the Uber driver. There are a lot of times that, I drive around, I go to see clients, and I do things like that. So if driving is part of your job duties and your job functions, you could also be covered if you are injured while driving. Now, one small caveat to this, and we have discussed this in the past, the portal-to-portal coverage. People who drive generally don't have what's known as a fixed place of employment. People who drive are usually out there in the field, as we say, driving around. So they don't have a fixed workplace. For those of you that are in that category, and like I said before, home health aides usually fall into this category. The difference is whether you have that home office. If you're a home health aide, for instance, and you leave your house every day and you go to the office and you clock in, you check in, you do whatever, and you get your assignments, and then you go to your first assignment, and then you spend your day on the road going to different assignments, patients, whatever you want to call it. And then at the end of the day, you go back to your office and clock out, finish up, log out, whatever it is. Your coverage is from the time you get to your office until the time you leave your office. That time spent on the road is covered. Now, if you contrast that with a person who leaves their house in the morning, a home health aide or a nurse or something, who leaves their front door with their assignments in hand. I'm going to pick up my phone, but my phone's right here, so I can't do that. But they have their assignments on their phone or whatever, and they go directly to their first patient of the day, and then to the second, third, fourth, and fifth, and their schedule is not always the exact same schedule. Well, then they're covered portal to portal, door to door. They're covered from the second they leave their front door until the second they come back in. So if they're on their way to their first assignment and they have a car accident, unfortunately, they would be covered for that car accident if they are afforded portal to portal coverage. It's a very important distinction to be made. We fight about it all the time. There are cases I love to litigate. Insurance companies love saying that person's not covered. They didn't start their first assignment of the day, or they were on their way home from the last assignment of the day. I love fighting portal to portal cases, and we're usually very successful with them. So it's something important to know, because we hear a lot of times from clients that, oh, I didn't get to my first assignment that day, so I'm not entitled to comp. You don't make a legal determination if you don't know. Talk to a lawyer. Talk to a guy like me. 212-406-8989 if you have any questions about any of this stuff. New York workers' compensation, I'm your guy. 212-406-8989. And if you're looking for some help elsewhere in the great states, we do have other attorneys that we work with, and we could help you find somebody who can help you out with your case if you're not in New York State. But me personally, I'm your New York guy. 212-406-8989. Now, we did discuss this briefly on the last slide, but how about rideshare drivers like Uber and Lyft? Can they get workers' compensation? And what about delivery drivers for services like Uber Eats? This is a great one. Excuse me. If you drive for Uber, if you drive for Lyft, you're covered. Rideshare drivers are covered here in New York State for the most part, provided that their app was on, they were in between jobs, or they had a passenger. I mean, the more proof of employment happening, the better. If your app is on and you have an Uber passenger in your car and you have an accident, I mean, it's pretty clear you were working. It gets a little hazy when, was the app on, or was the app off, or did you shut the app off for a second to use the bathroom or get a cup of coffee, or you thought the app was back on and you had a passenger, but the app really wasn't on. You want to try to avoid those things. And, as much as the cases are litigated, these rideshare cases get litigated with the computer and the apps and everything, it makes it pretty easy to navigate through and see where you're actually working. Did you actually have a passenger in the car? Were you on the clock? But if you are, you're covered. Uber, Lyft, covered here in New York State. And the funny thing is, we asked the second question here about Uber Eats, food delivery services. We have Caviar, Uber Eats. I know there's a trillion others. DoorDash, Postmates. I always thought Postmates was a mail service up until I actually had a brain. But food delivery services are not covered in New York State. They are not covered employments, and they. I have a feeling that's going to change at some point in time. I think the law is going to absorb them and adopt them in, because they are working for. The reason why they say it's not, there's a question as to direction and control. They could turn down jobs and things like that, but I think it's going to fall into the realm, but I could be wrong. But as of right now, Uber Eats, Postmates, Caviar, DoorDash, all that kind of stuff, not covered. So just keep that in mind. We do get a lot of calls from people that were Uber Eats on their bike and they got hit by a car, and it sucks, but they're not covered under New York State workers' compensation. Now, here's where I wanted to jump into something important. In addition to workers' compensation, can drivers also file a personal injury lawsuit? And are there any tips to make sure they get the maximum compensation possible? So like we said in the first slide, yes, if you are not at fault, if somebody else caused your accident, if somebody else ran a red light, rear-ended you, wasn't paying attention, whatever. We know the million different ways a car accident can happen. But if you were not at fault, you can sue that other driver, just so long as they're not a coworker or your employer or anything like that. If you work in the FedEx yard and you're driving a van through the FedEx yard and another FedEx driver backs out of a loading dock and isn't paying attention and hits you, you're kind of SOL, as they say, shit out of luck. So you can't sue a coworker, you can't sue your employer. If I use a lot of curses today, I apologize. I've been watching Sopranos reruns, so I'm trying to I'm talking like a tough guy when I shouldn't be, but that's what happens. So as long as it's an uninterested third party that caused your accident, your car accident, you can sue them. Now, UMUIM is what we mentioned before, and it's what I want to touch on now. Uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage. Here in New York State, and I don't know the rules elsewhere, I don't know the laws elsewhere, but here in New York State, you can get uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage on your own policy. And people, their heads spin around and little puffs of smoke come out when you try to explain this the first time, because they say, well, what do you mean my insurance? No, it's your insurance. You can get uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage on your own auto policy. And what happens then? Well, if you get into a car accident and somebody else is at fault and they hurt you and they cause the accident and you sue them, and let's just assume that person only has $25,000 worth of coverage per accident. Well, if your accident is severe enough to overcome that threshold, They're probably going to offer you the full 25 and say, that's it. That's all we got for you. Sorry, have a nice day. But you might have $1 million worth of damage. What next? You might need surgery. You might need all sorts of things. Well, workers' comp is going to step up, but your third-party attorney who you should speak to about this, and if you need help finding one, you can always call me as I headbutt the microphone. If you need help finding a third-party attorney, whether it's for a car accident, a construction site, scaffold, ladder fall, anything, slip and fall. If you guys need help finding people, we work with some great attorneys that can help you with that. But you should speak to them about this, because if your damages far exceed what the payout is from the other driver's insurance, you can turn back to your own insurance company and put a claim in for underinsured or uninsured coverage, and you can get money from your own insurance to benefit you. You can get additional money from your own insurance, and this is a coverage that you pay for. Now, people get a little freaked out. They say, well, why am I going after my own insurance? Why the other driver should be paying it, and and they get very frustrated. And it's the truth. You paid for this coverage. You might as well take advantage of it. And the nice part about it is this. We've discussed this in the past. We've kind of gotten into it, and it's confusing for everybody. But when you have this workers' compensation and this third-party lawsuit, these two cases coming from one accident, whatever money the workers' compensation insurance company has paid out at the time that you settle your third-party case, they potentially have the right to assert a lien. They have the right to take back money that they've spent on your workers' compensation case. Anytime there's a third party and a comp case here in New York State, the workers' comp carrier has the opportunity to take money back out of your third party case for what it's spent on your comp case. There's a small little caveat there. When it's a car accident case in New York State, the first $50,000 or 3 years of expenditures, they can't touch. But anything above and beyond that, they can touch. And if you've had extensive surgeries and lost time and crazy things, you could blow through $50,000 in 10 minutes. So that puts a damper on your third party case, because the workers' comp carrier is going to come in when you're getting ready to settle your case. You might have $1 million settlement, and they might say, well, we've spent $300,000 in your workers' compensation case. We're going to take a reduction and do this, that, and the other thing. But they might go and snatch 200 grand away from your $1 million lawsuit, and that's really going to hurt. And then your lawyer's going to take his fee, and then expenses and all that stuff, and your $1 million just got eaten up pretty quick. The beauty part of this uninsured, underinsured coverage is that can't be touched. So while your lawsuit against the driver who only has $25,000 of coverage happens, and they tender their policy and you get that $25,000, workers' comp can only go after that money. They can't go, if you go get the 25 from them and then you get $1 million from your own policy, they can't touch that. So it's a very nice added bonus. And when it happens, it's a glorious thing. People are very happy when that happens. At first, they clam up and they get freaked out that I can't go after my own insurance. It's just like with a workers' compensation claim. When you talk to people and I say, why don't you file a claim? You got hurt on the job. I don't want to sue my company. You're not suing your company. You're not suing your company. You're putting in an insurance claim for coverage that's there waiting in case you get hurt and you got hurt. So it's there waiting for you. If you could take advantage of it, go ahead and do that, because those payouts could be significant, and they could be, and it's a beautiful thing. It's your policy. You've been paying all this money all this time. You always hear people talk about, I've been paying for health insurance, and last year I never went to the doctor. I want my money back. Well, here you've been paying for UIM coverage, and bang, now it's time to cash in and get your money back, and then some. So it's huge, 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 huge. Something to keep in mind, something to talk to your attorneys about. If you need help, I know I'm speaking fast, I'm flying. Today was a day of days. If you need any help with this stuff, if you need me to explain it more, you can always feel free to give me a call. If you're looking for an attorney for a car accident or any type of claim, give me a call. I'm here to help. 212-406-8989. And of course, if you have questions that are on topic, I'm going to try to get to them and go over them today, since that is the theme of the day, folks. But this is a Q&A, and it's time for the Q and the A. That's the extent of my slides. I wanted to do a quick, I'm worked up today, folks, but I wanted to get on talk about those car cases, those MVAs, motor vehicle accidents. Mike J has been, actually, Emily was here first. Emily has been waiting. I think she logged in on Tuesday, and I wanted to make sure I got to her question first. No, Emily logged in 5 minutes before we signed on, but I certainly appreciate it, Emily. Hello, thank you. Thankful for your videos. The judge ordered to stop temporary payments after my doctor said I could do sedentary work and asked both doctors to depose, and my written summations are by April. What is next? I'm assuming it's a New York State case, Emily. Rod, now, if the judge stopped your payments because your doctor said that you could do sedentary work, I kind of have to assume that the old work search has attached here. Have they directed a work search, and was it deemed not good enough yet? Because usually when the judge directs the work search for the first time, the benefits continue up until work search is deemed to have been not good enough. So I'm fearful of that for you. Talk to your lawyer about that. But what to wait for? Looks like they're going to take depositions of your doctors, and summations are going to be offered, and the judge will be making a decision. So that's what it sounds like will happen. But I would talk to your lawyer, get your timeline straight, get an understanding of what's going on, and have a discussion with that work search thing if that is in fact an issue, because it sounds like it might be. Good luck to you. Here's Mike J. Hey, Rex, question. First one. I'm waiting for a hearing on my SLU. What is SLU, folks? Schedule loss of use. All reports are in. My doctors and the IMEs. Is the case coming to an end? And number two, what does the ranking G mean in a non-schedule low back injury? Great questions. Great questions. Great questions. I don't know if I went ahead and gave the gold star last week, but there's the gold star for you. These are great questions. So let me find your question again. Martinez is here. Hey. There it is. Okay, so is your case coming to a close? It sounds like your case is coming to a close. If you have schedules and non-schedules, so the G ranking non-schedule, neck or back, it's a low back for you, and the schedules that you have here, we need an understanding. Are you working or you're not working? And if you are working, is it full duty or is it light duty? Are we looking at reduced earnings claims? Are we looking at full lost time, permanent disability claims? Or are you back at work, were earning the same or more than you were at the time of the accident? If that's the case, then you're probably looking at schedules here. Excuse me. Mike J, just for those of you following along, is in New York. Now, your schedules, both sides have their schedules in. They should take the time now to try to work out a resolution here if possible. Otherwise, it sounds like most likely your case is going to get set for depositions, and those will get done. Usually during the deposition process, we try to negotiate resolutions as well. Did I wear this shirt last week? I feel like I did. That's you are in the home stretch here. Now, all that being said, what does a severity ranking G mean to a non-scheduled low back injury? I could tell you this. Back in the day, necks and backs and heads were evaluated and quantified on a number scale. The doctor would say you have a 50% permanent injury, a 60% permanent injury, a 70% permanent injury. Now they use this crazy letter scale, and each scale is different. There's a scale for non-surgical soft tissue low back, and that scale might go from A to H. And then there's the next one is for surgically, surgical low back injuries, and that scale might go from A to M. And then there might be one, there's a G for the most part is a relatively high finding, even though it's like in the beginning to middle of the alphabet. It's actually pretty high finding. It's indicative of a significant severe disability, I should say. If you wanted to, and it reads cryptically and it's a little tough to understand, but if you just Google New York State Workers' Compensation Board, go to their website. If you scroll down about half the page, right in the middle, there's a couple boxes, but it's like medical or health provider. There's a box about medicine, whether it's medical. Let me see if I can find it here. I gotta learn how to share screens so I can share screens. And if you go to the Workers' Compensation Board homepage, wcb.ny.gov, you scroll down. The box is called Healthcare Providers. Again, it's got the stethoscope in it. It's the medical box. If you're dopey like me, it's easier to find that way. And if you go into the medical box, where'd it go? Oh, strike that. I'm misleading you. If you go to that medical box and there's a couple tabs there, the third one is impairment guidelines. If you go to the impairment guidelines, you could click on the impairment guidelines and you can actually see the different categories for the different types of injuries and how they rate them and how they give you points and how positive imaging comes into play and complaints, long-standing complaints, surgically modified injuries and things like that. But it gives you the scale that the doctors use to come up with their conclusions as to your letter grade for your injury. I liked it the old way. I still, when we do depositions of especially, well, it could be either side, but a lot of times just to kind of cut through the BS of this chart and this scale and this, that, and the other thing, sometimes I'll ask the doctor, hey, doctor, I know you gave a table 11.72 severity ranking G for the low back injury, but doc, if you had to give me a number value, what would you say this person's degree of permanent impairment would be? And I get objection. I say, great, objections aside, give me a number. What is all your paperwork here come down to? If you had to give this guy a number grade for his back injury, what would it be? And they might say a G is a 75 or an 80% or a 90%. But, a lot of times you can get that out of them. And by the same token, you can get the insurance company sometimes to spit out a number. And if it sounds low, you can kind of go back into their report and say, well, you said the guy's walking with a cane and has a limp. You're giving a 20% disability to a guy with a limp. Anyway, it makes for good cross-examination. Great question, Mike J. You got me thirsty again. And then there's people like Vicky Brown. I'm getting ready to have a third surgery on my reverse shoulder replacement. Does workers' compensation usually pay if these surgeries are necessary? If they're necessary, then they should pay. Reverse shoulder replacement. We learned about this a few shows ago. It's when they reverse the ball in the socket, I believe. The socket is your body. The ball is on your humerus. This is not funny, though. The ball is on your arm. The socket is in the shoulder. The ball goes into the socket. And the reverse, actually, the top of your arm gets a socket, and they put a prosthetic ball here in the shoulder, so it's a reverse. And I hear they work well. If it's necessary and it's part of your injury, and you might have to litigate it, but yes, if it's related, it's related. Shoulder replacement, not an easy surgery, but they're getting better. People are being successful with them. Good luck. I hope you feel better. If you have any other questions, you want to call me, Vicky Brown, 212-406-8989. That is my number. How are you? The Real Deal 15 lives in Illinois. His attorney states that the state doesn't usually pay lump sums over 150. Would it be rude to tell him that I only want a lump sum and not weekly payments? Absolutely not. It's not rude. He might tell you no. He might tell you that's not going to happen. You should have an open dialogue with your attorney. And I encourage open dialogues with my clients. And sometimes it gets a little out of hand when I hear too many F-bombs. But we still need to keep it professional. And I understand that we're not getting cursed at. They're just frustrated with the process. But all that being said, you should have an open dialogue with your lawyer. If you feel like you want a lump sum settlement, tell your lawyer, what can we do here to get a lump sum settlement and close this thing out and be done with it? That's what I want. It might not be feasible. Here in New York State, it's not always feasible, but at least let's have that dialogue, that back and forth, so I can try to get you what you want. Talk to your lawyer. It's not rude. Don't tell him, don't be rude to him, and then you won't be, you know what I mean. Good question, though. Open dialogue. Managing expectations, open dialogue with your lawyer so you know what to expect, and you can tell him what you want so he knows what to expect as well. The Real Deal. Karis Davidson, can I use Medicare for my surgery that workers' comp insurance is appealing to my case? I won twice. It's a tough one. If your appeal is pending, if it gets found to be compensable, then workers' comp would be responsible. Medicare is not there to pick up the slack for workers' comp. Medicare is very adamant about not wanting and having to pay bills that they shouldn't be paying. So you got to be very careful with that. You got to talk to your doctor about those things. I understand the need to get surgery done, and whoever's going to pay is going to pay, and I don't care. I want to fix my arm, my leg, or whatever, but you got to be careful. Talk to your doctor about that. Talk to your lawyer about what to expect as to when your appeal might be decided and your case might actually get finalized. Maybe your lawyer could work it into a settlement. We've done that. It's rare, but you could try that as well. Again, like I just said with Real Deal, it's about managing expectations. So talk to your lawyer, ask those questions, have that dialogue. Jay Wizzle on Instagram. If your case is closed and you're in pain, you requested a level 3. If approved, who the settlement aspect look? I need a little. Okay, your case is closed and you're in pain, requested level 3. So here in New York State, when your doctor's requesting, it's called a PAR request, a prior authorization. I don't even know what it stands for anymore. A prior authorization request. Your doctor has to request authorization for certain things. And how's the settlement aspect look? Okay, so certain times, certain treatments and tests are within the medical treatment guidelines. Your doctor can go ahead and do those. He doesn't need to get authorization. But other times, the doctor has to request authorization. And there's 3 levels of review. The first request goes in, it gets denied, that's level 1. You can ask for reconsideration, that's level 2. If it gets denied again, you can ask for the board, the medical director's office at the Workers' Compensation Board to review it and make a decision. That's level 3. So if you're up at level 3 at this point, and you're still seeking treatment, you really should talk to your lawyer, because if you're looking for active treatment and you're also trying to settle the case, they're not always compatible unless you're doing an indemnity only settlement where your medical stays open, or you're just trying to pack in whatever remaining physical therapy or treatment you can get before you settle the case. Talk to your lawyer so they have a good understanding of what you're really looking for here. But sometimes ongoing active treatment and settlement are not always compatible. So you want to have that discussion with your attorney and stop flirting with ESQ flow on there, because who knows what type of trouble he's getting into. Oof. So, okay, moving right along here. I asked this question last week. I need you to let me know. Hold on, Catherine's coming in to start trouble. Everybody say hi, Catherine.
Hi, everybody. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Another batch of settlement documents. Woohoo! Is it M Clean, as in Mr. Clean, New York? Or is it McClane, like John McClane from Die Hard? Good afternoon, Rex. I have a situation. I don't know to whom I have to listen to, my provider, doctor, or my therapist doctor. The first one advised me not to go because I reached MMI. The second one scheduled me for another evaluation. I even signed my 32. I need your advice, please. So the first one's telling you to go for another evaluation. I mean, when you say your therapist doctor, I'm assuming your treating doctor referred you to the physical therapist. I mean, I would always go with what your doctor's telling you to do. If your physical therapist is giving you conflicting advice, you might want to talk to your doctor, maybe get the 2 of them on the phone together if possible, or make an appointment to see your doctor and get on the phone with the therapist and try to get to the bottom of this. But if you're signing a Section 32, the clock is ticking, especially if it's a full and final 32. Get your lawyer on the phone, see what they recommend, let them know what your concerns are, and try to get some understanding. Again, manage your expectations, so you know what you're looking at. Maybe, God forbid, it's not time to settle. But if your doctor's putting you at MMI and is not requesting any significant additional treatment, maybe it is time to settle. You really need to talk to your lawyer. I'm assuming you have a lawyer because you signed a Section 32. If you don't and you have questions, 212-406-8989. Jay Wizzle, I don't know ESQ flow. It's probably better off. Okay, who do we got here? Deem 17 shots. It's been a minute. Settled. How long does it take to get a judge and get all that? Get that? It's been a month now. I'm not following, but I'm assuming that you're telling me you're at the end of your case, you signed papers, and now you're just waiting for your final settlement conference, your Section 32 settlement conference. It's hard to say how long they take. Usually it's like a 6 to 8 week kind of thing when the papers get submitted to the board for review and scheduling. Could be longer, could be shorter. If the board finds something wrong with the papers, could be even longer than that. So it's hard to say. Talk to your lawyer and ask him what you should be looking at here. Jay Wizzle, also Medicaid pay for some workers' compensation treatment. Should I have them get the payment back from the insurance company? Talk to your lawyer. If Medicaid's paying for treatments that they shouldn't be paying for, it's gonna be an issue at some point in time, and it's probably best to, if you can get out in front of that and fix it. It's usually administratively corrected. Talk to your lawyer, see what he recommends, she recommends. Zelus, hi. Hi. Hope all is well. I finally watched and was able to negotiate myself, and my videos helped you a lot. I'm happy you're happy. I'm happy it all worked out. It sounds like you got something that satisfied you. So congrats, my friend. I'm happy to hear it. Happy that I helped. Susie B, I watched your Medicare set-aside video. Very helpful. Can I tell you something? I rewatched my Medicare set-aside video, and I impressed myself. So I'm glad I helped you out with that one. It was we hit some good information there. Frederick Simmons, I went and saw a designated doctor this month, and the judge asked for 2 different scenarios of my MMI. He gave me a 22 and an 18% statutory maximum medical improvement. Frederick, I'm confused. Now, what is the judge going to do now? Because I have been going back and forward with these people for 2 years now. Frederick, are you in New York State? I'm not feeling like you are, but a statutory maximum medical improvement. I'm confused. Unless you have a special consideration or something along those lines, which gets you into a certain categorization or percentage, I'm a little confused. I need a little more information from you, Frederick Simmons. 212-406-8989. It's water break time. Okay. Whew. Okay, McLean. My question about my case: do I have to wait until I get my award after that my third-party attorney can start his research? No, you should have both. Once you get hurt, if you have a third party and a workers' comp, you should have both lawyers engaged actively as soon as possible. You don't wait for one to finish and get the other one started. You might wait for one case to settle before you settle the other case, but both cases should be rolling along. You don't want to wait. We have statutes of limitation. You have time frames within which you must file claims. And if you wait and you blow a statute, you are not going to be happy. So make sure you have lawyers for everything that you need. Talk to your lawyer if you think you need another lawyer, whether it's a Social Security case, a third-party lawsuit, things like that. Don't wait. Never, never wait. YT Land. You know what? I'm giving you a star, my friend. That's important. YT Land. What happens if I'm both 100% disabled, both physical and mental? I've been found 100% disabled for both. Well, then you must be 200% disabled. No, 100% is 100%. That's all you can get. You can't be found to have a 200% disability. It is not possible. Now, here is something that we need to address. When you tell me things like "Go Yankees," Mojo always has good comments. He's always got something helpful. He and then he hits me with a "Go Yankees." Man, it hurts. It hurts here. I'm kidding. Go Yanks. I hope we play you guys in the series, and New York will be. It would be fucking awesome. That would be sick. So thank you, Mojo. But let's go Mets. Jeff Thomas, hi Rex, I hurt my back. L45 S1, L45 and S1. Where did my spine go? I gotta find that stupid spine. I don't know where my spine went. It's probably in the other room. L45 and L5 S1. L45 and L5 S1 are the bottom 3 disc vertebrae levels of your spine. Your S1 is the lowest level of your spine. So this is a vertebrae. So you have your back. It's upside down. You have your back. Is it upside down? Doctors, let me know. Is this upside down? Disc. So L4, the disc is L45. L5, the disc is L5 S1. And then S1 doesn't look like this. It looks like a triangle. It's your tailbone. So Jeff Thomas here hurt his lower back. L is lumbar. They said I need surgery, but they keep sending me to PT and chiropractor. They also got me going to the IME twice in 5 months. Why? They're allowed to. They're trying to find that you're getting better or find a reason, there's something to hang their hat on to say that you're getting better so they can reduce your benefits and potentially deny surgery. But if your doctor says you need surgery and that's the route that you need to go, talk to your doctor and pursue it and get your surgery and get yourself better. It sucks. I am a low back surgery survivor myself. I have L4-5, L5-S1 disc herniations. I had surgery many, many moons ago. And yes, you need a treatment, you need to get better so you can get back to work, back to action, back kicking ass and not sitting home in agonizing pain. It's what insurance companies do. Unfortunately, they do have the right to have you examined by their consultants, and they do. And you got to play the game, my friend. If you have questions, if you don't have a lawyer, you should definitely have a lawyer on your side. 212-406-8989. If you need a lawyer, I'll be your lawyer. Mojo, does a workers' compensation case really hinge on third party to see any real money? Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. Third party cases, I've thought about this and I've never really kind of put it all together, but I feel like a big third party case is bigger than a big workers' compensation case. It's that simple. Third party cases are where you have punitive damages and pain and suffering and all those things that workers' compensation just doesn't pay. But a nuisance value third party case, which is a soft tissue, you bumps and bruises and they got better pretty quickly. I feel like the lower end soft tissue cases, the lower end nuisance value cases in the third party world are much lower than workers' compensation cases, probably because we do the Section 32, which gives that carrier the full closure of the case, and it's usually worth a little bit more money. But there are times that we get more money out of comp than the third party case sees. But the big dollar cases are third party cases usually. But again, every case is different. That's why it's important you have a lawyer who knows what they're doing. And that's why if you have a third party, that you have a comp lawyer and a third party personal injury lawyer that have worked well together. The guys that I work well with, it's so fluid and it's great. And I get a phone call, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. Let's sit down and crunch some numbers here. And I look at the numbers on a comp case and I look at the numbers on the third party, and we figure out what is the best way to maximize what we're going to get for you. And sometimes it's a difference of 30 grand, and sometimes it's a difference of 3 grand, and sometimes there's no difference, but at least we did that work for you, and we're there trying to maximize what you get at the end of the day, because that's our obligation, is to you, the client. And I see it happen so many times that it just doesn't happen, and it's unfortunate. When does someone know they have a decent lawyer? When does someone know they have a decent lawyer? And what should they look for when they feel they are not getting anywhere with their lawyer? Does having a more reputable firm or lawyer matter? Choosing your lawyer is like choosing a doctor. There should be a level of comfort with your lawyer. Trust and comfort. And, what I find, and I find that it's lacking in a lot of areas, is just explaining the case and the status to your client so that they understand it, so they can, like I said before, manage expectations. I get I don't want to say so many, I don't want to say there's so many bad lawyers out there, but we do get calls, and it's like, I've called my lawyer 5 times and they never got back to me, and I just need an explanation as to what a 20% schedule loss of an arm is worth, because I don't understand. And it's a simple phone call, and all you need to do is explain that to your client and have that discussion between the client and the lawyer, and make people happy. And it's lacking sometimes. And again, I don't want to point fingers, and I don't want to say that everyone's so terrible. There's some great lawyers out there, but you need to have that trust, that comfort, that back and forth, that line of communication with your lawyer, with the firm. I'm solo here. I can't handle every call that comes in here today. My head would explode. My staff is well trained, and they know what to look for in a phone call, because sometimes the question doesn't come right out. Sometimes the person's upset and yelling and screaming about something going on, but you know what to look for to see, well, my check is late. Okay, boom, let's deal with that problem. I feel like I got shortchanged on my from the last hearing. Boom, let's deal with the problem. And you got to keep that dialogue going, and you need to be comfortable. Hiring a lawyer is like hiring a doctor. I always tell my clients, are you comfortable with the doctor that you're seeing? Because that's the most important thing. You're not going to get better if you're not feeling it with your doctor, whether it's a trust thing or a comfort thing. But if it's not there, you're operating at a loss. You want to be comfortable with your doctor. You want to be comfortable with your lawyer. Reputation is big. Do I want to say that online reviews are important? They are important, and they're also really not important. You get bad reviews over BS that was a whole lot of. I think I got 2 or 3 bad reviews from people that weren't even my client. So it's like, come on. But it's there for a purpose, and but you have to have that comfort level. And it's funny because it's not always a matter of being able to bullshit with your lawyer comfortably. I have a couple clients that all we do is butt heads, and we virtually argue every time about the case. But when the dust settles, they go, look, I'm feeling that you're here for me, and I know that you're here for me, and we're just having this hot back and forth. It's getting angry, but I know you're there for me, and you're doing what you need to do to get things done. So even though it's a different type of comfort, I'm half Sicilian. Me and my mother, half the time we have a conversation, they're animated and they're at higher decibel levels, and it's not because there's a lack of love and respect. It's just because that's how we do things. So it's the same thing with certain clients. Have a level of comfort, have a level of understanding, open lines of communication with your lawyer and your law firm, and that's really what you should be looking for. Mojo, man, giving a fucking star to a Yankee fan. I love it. Great questions. I just want I got to introduce you to my friend, Mr. Marte, because he knows where it's at. Okay, Lisa is coming in. State employee correctional officer assaulted on the job. Workers' comp is approved on 4 of 5 injuries. However, because of broken policies, their negligence caused me to be assaulted. Can I sue them? Did you ask a question over here also, Lisa? Because there's a corrections question there I just saw. No, not really. You can't sue your employer. Their negligence, unless there's a labor law infraction or something. The general answer is no. But it's always worth speaking to an attorney who handles negligence and personal injury matters to get their opinion. I'm a workers' comp guy. I'm going to give you my general basis of opinion here, but when you speak to somebody who really knows the law there, that's the conversation you want to have. And if you have those questions and you need to speak to somebody and you don't have an attorney to talk to, give me a call, Lisa, and I'll help you out. And I'll find somebody who can answer those questions properly for you. So that sucks. That sucks. Corrections employees have it rough. You guys, you have it rough. I get it. I know people that work at Rikers. I have clients that work at Rikers. I have friends at various correctional facilities, and none of those jobs are easy jobs. So I feel for you. But if you need help answering your questions, give me a call, 212-406-8989. Chris Ashley's in the house, and he says he got a gold star last week. You did get a gold star last week. You got to work for those gold stars, my brother. Just because you got one doesn't mean I'm pouring them out and giving them others. But you're always a good contributor with great questions, and I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you. Sunny Skies, can workers' comp hold weekly checks when it's close to negotiating? Again, are we talking New York State? If we're talking New York State and they're on a CCP, carrier to continue payments, a CCP is a direction by a judge to continue paying you. If the carrier has been directed to continue payments, they cannot stop simply because you're negotiating a resolution. They're supposed to keep that payment coming to you. They're weekly awards, sent in bi-weekly checks usually, so that should not happen. I see the question. Oh my God. I'm giving myself a 10-minute warning, and we got like 600 questions just came in. Jeff Thomas, I hurt my back. I need surgery. I've been home 5 months. Why am I seeing their IME twice? Because they suck. Because that's what they're doing. They want to make sure that you really do or don't need the surgery. They want to try to see if your injury is improving to the point that they could try to reduce. And that's exactly what's happening. Marte is asking, what's the repercussions, if any, of removing trial date of the calendar due to surgery approval procedure? It's being denied twice and it's going on level 3. Are you talking about your third-party case trial or your workers' comp trial? Generally, the workers' comp trial won't remove it. If you're having surgery at the date and the time of your trial, obviously they can't go forward if you're under anesthesia, but they'll just reschedule it. If it's your third-party case, you got to ask your third party that question. I don't know. Princess has not been around in a while. You had a bunch of questions like months ago, and then you've been hanging. I hope you're doing well. My question is, I had a TFCC tear and trigger finger release on my right hand in November 2023. I had another surgery in the same hand, but this time ulnar shortening and TFCC detriment, or I think you're going for debridement or debridement. How does that affect my case? Whew. If the surgery, if it's all related to the same underlying accident and the same underlying case, usually if it's just wrist case, the case only involves your wrist and your hands, the surgery, the second surgery is going to restart the clock on schedule loss. So it's a year. Schedule loss is assessed a year from your date of accident or your date of surgery. Since you have a new surgery, you restart the clock. And oh, cat, and that's what's happening. So it's going to push your case back a couple months until you get your finalization. What if you are settled and still receiving schedules of IMEs but cancel? What is going on? It's just a computer glitch. If your case is settled and closed and done, you get an IME in the mail, call your lawyer, make sure he knows about it, but most likely it's just a clerical error and they'll cancel it. Catherine left, but good job. Good job there saying hello and goodbye to Catherine. Marta is asking my IG name, and I believe it's just Rex Zakowski. I'm typing it down below. Oops. Rex Zakowski. It's my first name and my last name. Rex Zakowski. There it is. Sade. I got hurt on the job in 2022. I had four surgeries so far and 2 more to go due to failed surgery. It's my second shoulder surgery. When do you think this will settle? Well, if you still have 2 more surgeries to go, it shouldn't settle until after those are done and you're in the clear, you're healing, you're on the road to recovery. There's no more major risk of infection or things like that. So you still have a little bit of a road ahead of you. 2022, you're 3 years into it. Talk to your lawyer. If you don't have a lawyer, you need help, give me a call, 212-406-8989. Trump's right ear, his left ear is asking other questions. Do they split the difference on MMI in New York? Sometimes we split the difference on MMI. Sometimes we split the difference on SLU. It's kind of like the baseline for negotiation. You split the difference, but sometimes if you have other reason to work from there, you work from there. I see Catherine just joined on Instagram. So everyone who wants to say hello and goodbye to Catherine that posted your hellos and goodbyes, she's over there. Victoria, hello Rex. Went to the knee doctor yesterday. They want me to complete work Harding for 20 sessions. And after, I'm confused. Victoria, clarify, please. Please. Hi, Chambers. H. Chambers. Hi. How long after I sign the settlement agreement documents with the lawyer will I receive my check? Are we talking about a stipulation? Are we talking about a Section 32? What are we talking about? Are we in New York State? A lot of questions here. Takes a couple weeks, but it could be longer or shorter depending on the answers to those questions. John McClain, Muhammad Ali. Thanks for your answers. Thanks for your questions. Thanks for your great questions. We're at 5:25. This is supposed to be a quickie today, but I can't let you guys go, Jack. Jeff Thomas has spinal stenosis, narrowing of the spinal column, along with herniated disc and a bulging disc, L4 to S1. Why won't they give me surgery? I don't know, Jeff. But it could be because you haven't gone through all the conservative care options yet. It could be because they might be arguing that if you have spinal stenosis, that might be deemed a pre-existing condition, and bulging discs might also be a pre-existing condition, and maybe you needed the surgery from something before you had this accident. I'm not saying you do, but that's what they might be arguing. There's a lot of different reasons why it sucks. Having a bad back sucks. It hurts, and I feel for you, my friend. Stick it out. Talk to your lawyer, talk to your doctor, and fight the fight. Trump's right ear. Now you're just trying to test me. I got one for you. An IT security manager company has a ransomware attack, and the pressure and the stress of dealing with it causes the claimant to have more work hours and have anxiety and depression. Good case, maybe. They just signed, I didn't look at the statute yet. They just signed mental health changes to the mental health aspect of the workers' compensation law. And I need to review it. I haven't looked at it yet. But potentially you do have a claim there. Have you seen your doctor? Have you consulted with a lawyer on it? I would need more information. I'd really want to review your doctor's notes and records to see what's going on there, but potentially you could have something there. The child of God, the insurance company put in for a hearing to obtain my medical records. My legal case manager said my lawyer can request another wage adjustment due to my new medical providers. Child, my new medical providers having me 100% disabled. Is this true? This sounds like you're not in New York State, just by the lingo here. But if your doctor is giving you 100% and there hasn't been an IME in a while, you might be able to ask for an adjustment there. If they're putting it to obtain your medical records, are they looking at old pre-existing medical conditions? A lot of questions here, child. Oh, child. I love this. Zurich American Insurance is my job's so-called insurance. That's funny. There's some very nice people over there. And some other ones. Do I have experience with them? I do have experience with them. Again, there's some very good people that work for Zurich also. So if you have any questions, give me a call. 212-406-8989. Like Sayo, he says, don't forget to subscribe if you found my videos valuable. It makes me feel nice when I see my little likes go up. I'm like a 14-year-old girl. Yes, I get it. I feel good about the likes. I feel good about the subscribes. It makes me feel like I'm doing good for the world here. And really, that's what we got. Mojo, let's go. Rematch of the 2000 World Series. Love the Subway Series. Battle of the Greats. Of course you love the Subway Series. You won the Subway Series. We didn't. It sucked. Man. This is our year, baby. Soto's looking good. Everyone's looking good. Except Frankie Montas. But Pete Alonso got hit in the face with a baseball today. Nice job, dork. Okay. Winding up. All right. I think we got most of them. Central Ohio Cowboys. Ohio accident, driving work van, have torn rotator cuff and left and right, torn rotator cuff left and right shoulder, tearing of the right hip, C4-5, C6-7 bulge. She never had any problems before. I hope you have a lawyer. You got a 45. You have a lawyer, my friend. If you don't and you need help, give me a call. 212-406-8989. I am not licensed in Ohio, but I'm pretty sure we have a couple guys that we work with in Ohio that are fantastic. Duke. Hey, I have an ongoing case. I've had surgery on my knee. It's been ongoing for almost a year now. How much do you think will be offered? Also, I still haven't returned to my regular. There's so many factors that I need to know. What we are earning, what have you been paid so far, what type of surgery we're looking at. Excuse me. A lot of questions there. But if it's a New York State case and you want some help, call me 212-406-8989. And with that, folks, I'm going to wrap it up here. It's 5:30 on the dot. I did an hour. I love it. Great questions today. Great contributions. Let's go, Mets. I love every one of you. You guys make me, the mornings I have these lives, I wake up and I feel good because I'm going to get out there and I'm going to help people. And that's really what it's all about. If you like, hit like. If you want to subscribe. Thank you. As always, if you have any questions, New York State claims, give me a call, 212-406-8989. If you have an out-of-state claim and you're looking for a referral, you can also give us a call, and we'll do our best to get you teamed up with somebody who's going to give you a hand, getting you the benefits that you're entitled to. And if you're here in New York State, if you have those car accident cases like we discussed earlier, construction site accidents, we handle, we work with attorneys that handle all those types of cases, and we work very closely with them to make sure that the comp and the third party work well together, and that there's no butting of the heads, and you get as much as you can possibly get. So if you do have those types of claims and you need help, please call me. I'm here to help you. 212-406-8989. I did post my Instagram handle up there, so feel free to follow me on Instagram as well. And thank you, guys. Thanks for joining. It's a beautiful Thursday evening here. I believe it started to snow. It looks like maybe it stopped. The flakes were coming down. Be safe out there. We don't want you hurt, but if you do need help, give me a call. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.